So nice to see you. I am walking a bit better every day, and this morning I have walked through the house without crutches. I will not do that outdoors yet because it's uneven ground, but I made it indoors with no crutches. And an even gait too. This is not my assistant for learning to walk again. He's my obstacle, my adventure course. Hi, honey. That was kind of fun, right? All kinds of adventures for you. Okay, let's sit for a few minutes of quiet together. This morning we're going to be again exploring the first three chakras as a pathway, a necessary pathway up to the fourth chakra, the heart chakra. So please take a comfortable seat. Would you like to meditate with us? You've already meditated today? You don't need to do it again? Okay, you can have Shavasana right there. Okay, please rest your hands in your lap. And orient to the outer environment that tells you where you are physically, where you're seated. Here we have the sounds of the birds in the sky. As the season changes and the forest changes, we have the sound of the freeway. The sounds of the neighborhood waking up. And then the silence in which all of that is happening. So if we can imagine that each sound is actually held in a larger container of silence, we might be able to imagine that each of us is also held in a larger kind of ocean of grace. So when you begin to use the Ujjayi breath, think of the breath as the tether from the outer to the inner, and from the inner to the outer. And so as you inhale, of course, the breath enters the nose and it travels down into the lungs. But let's imagine the inhale first touching the pelvic floor as the diaphragm makes some pressure against the pelvic floor, and there is an expansion there. And the breath is expanding concentrically upwards into the heart. And again, though the exhale is leaving through the nose, let's imagine the exhale pathway starting at the pelvic floor and moving upwards and outwards. To support the breath to come up into the heart, sometimes stretching the upper chest wall or the rib cage can be helpful. So let's see if this makes a difference for your sense of wakefulness or for the breath. If you reach back to interlace your fingers, squeeze the shoulders up and back, and then if possible, squeeze the arms back. You may sense your shoulder blades kind of enthusing the upper back, lift up through your heart, and you can open your throat. Now, as you keep the shoulders pressed back, enjoy another inhalation. And then bring only your chin down towards your throat so the heart stays lifted. This position, while we're exaggerating in a way, this is a Jalandhara Bandha position. So lift the very base of the skull up. One more inhale, squeeze the arms and the shoulders back. And then exhale, release your hands and rest them in your lap. Let your eyes close. And notice if that's given any increase to your sense of presence this morning. So if each sound is really held in a larger silence, if each of us is held in a larger ocean of grace, then we may have more courage for the journey that can feel so trepidatious to us as individuals moving up through this chakra system. It can feel difficult because at the first chakra, while the power emotion is vulnerability, there has been a lot of confusion about what is vulnerability. And there's this kind of unhelpful form of vulnerability where we just feel fundamentally helpless and fragile and unable to access resources or to feel cared about. We might even feel like isolating. We may be more susceptible to shame in that situation. And yet there's this beautiful quality of vulnerability where we sense the smallness, the tiny wave that we are in this immense ocean. And it's a kind of grace that we even get to be here at all. So please raise your hands to your heart. And let's begin with a chant. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. And release your hands. Good. While sitting upright, we're going to take a little journey, kind of corkscrew down into the chakras. So starting upright, keep the heart centered. Inhale your head to the right as far as it goes. Exhale, gaze down. So the chin's going to come in towards the center of the throat. Lengthen the back side on the left side of your neck. And then inhale, gaze left and up. And exhale, gaze left neutral. You rotate to center. Inhale to your left. Bring your chin down towards your throat, even noticing the small muscles of the neck, even tiny sensations. And inhale, gaze neutral and up. Exhale to neutral. And rotate to center. Now including the hands. Inhale, raise your arms up overhead. With the hands clasped, bring them down, palms facing down, pinkies at the base of the skull. Inhale, twist to your right. Bring the left elbow forward, right elbow up. And exhale to center, spread the elbows wide, press the base of your skull into the pinkies. Inhale, twist left. And exhale to center, elbows wide, press the base of your skull into the pinkies. And then sweep the elbows forward and up. Inhale like a little back bend for the head and the throat. And then exhale, bring your gaze down, hands clasped, push up through the heels of your hands towards the ceiling. And inhale, open up wide. Open your chest, your heart, your throat, your arms, clasp the hands at the small of your back. And inhale, as we did before, the chant, roll the chest and shoulders open. And then exhale, keep the hands clasped behind you, raise the shoulders and come forward any amount that is appropriate for you. Mine is very limited still, but you may go to the floor. Squeeze the arms up towards the ceiling, let the head relax. And then inhale, raise up to your seat. And exhale, release the hands to your lap. Notice the circulation going down the arms. And then bringing attention to the heart center. Remember that yesterday I was saying how the solar plexus can kind of be this radiant resource for the heart. This solar, the sun, Om Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savito Varenyam. So this radiance moving up to support the heart. Take your hands like this, like Fonzie. Raise them up like this. And Kapalabhati. Exhale completely. Now inhale, raise the arms up, bring your palms together, look up. Suspend the inhale. And exhale, push the arms wide, bring your head to neutral, relax the arms down alongside your torso, palms face down. Let the breath be really relaxed. You don't have to coordinate anything about the inhale or the exhale. And now side to side, place your hands on your shoulders. And at your pace, of course, left, right, left, right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come to center. Inhale to suspension. Place your hands in your lap. As you hold the breath, lift the heart up. Snug the low belly in and up. Bring the chin down. In your own timing, exhale through the nose, slowly, slowly, and completely. Listen for any sort of glimmer of recognizing that, like sound is held in silence, you are being held by grace. We're going to come down to the floor with 2 blocks. I'd like you to lie on one block, so you're going to place it there for your shoulder blades. The other block can just be within reach. You don't have to transition with a block between your knees unless you just had your hip replaced, which isn't the case for most of you. So when you lie down in this situation, we don't have support for the head. You're going to cross your right hand to your left shoulder. Hold the left hand on your right elbow. So the block is right under the shoulder blades. That means that the bottom edge of the block and the bottom of the edge of the shoulder blades are touching. As you reach back like this with the upper chest, heart, and torso, take the legs out straight. And see if you can now bring the breath down. So you've got first chakra, second, and third. And then the breath rises up to the heart. Let's try to sense that pathway beginning at the pelvic floor, but also widening up into the collarbones. During the exhale, I'm going to ask you to start taking a little bit more attention down across your lap, like your lap belt on an airplane or in the car. And see if towards the end of the exhale, you might have an increased sense of tone across those sort of lap belt muscles. So right across the top of the pubic bone and the space up between your 2 hip bones, below the belly button. Keeping that toned, stretch your arms overhead and release your head. It may not reach the floor. Please be thoughtful with your neck. If you need a blanket for your head, don't hesitate to put one down. And then exhale, raise your head, cross your left hand to your right shoulder. Hold your right hand on your left elbow. So this makes the pose more stable, and likely your head is about the same height as your heart because the left forearm is crossing behind your head. Press down gently through your legs, and again begin the inhale at the base of the spine at the pelvic floor. And let it move concentrically upwards, getting wider as you reach the collarbones. And when you exhale, notice any bit of tone that you can partner with. You're not coercing this tone, just sense what happens as you complete the exhale, what is happening across the lower abdomen. And keeping a sense of that tone while your legs are grounded. Stretch the arms overhead, and if you need a blanket for your head, of course, please use one. And then exhale, lift your head, bring your chin towards your throat, raise your arms, and come upright. Like a vampire. You just rose out of your vampire position. Okay, bend the right knee up. Cross your right hand around your left hand around your right shin. Raise up through the chest and the heart. And as you twist to your right, let's focus the breath in the right hemisphere of the body. And try to picture the breath again, a little bit like an expanding spiral from the pelvic floor, widening as the breath rises up into the heart and the collarbones. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhima, the warrior whose name is Bhima, he is considered he's the strongest, the most robust, and he represents the heart chakra, the fourth chakra. So think of the breath as really rising up there. The heart chakra and Bhima also both represent prana or pranayama, the power of the wind, the power of the air. So keeping that lift in the heart, when you exhale, the increase of tone in the low belly can happen because you're not pressing the ribcage down into the organs of the abdomen. You're drawing, the exhale is actually moving up. We're not making the lower torso heavier. And then exhale around to face forward. Bend your left knee, whatever amount is appropriate for you. Take your left hand behind you, cross your right hand to the outside of your left knee or to a block on the floor over there, and twist to your left. Again, raise up through the heart like it's spiraling upwards, and the breath, keeping a good portion of the inhale, low belly, mid-torso, but reserving the inhale, the upper third of the breath for the heart to be most expansive. When you're raising the inhale upwards into the heart, you can sense the back of the heart and the front. Not only are the collarbones widening, but the space between the shoulder blades, the upper shoulder blades, is also breathable. And then exhale, rotate around to face forward. And placing your blocks so you know where they are, reach your arms forward and roll yourself down. So you're going back down to your vampire position. I'm just being playful, of course. But as you roll down, vertebrae by vertebrae, and take the arms overhead. Stretch the full length of your body. And then bend each knee, reach for one block to place under the back of your pelvis. Come into supported bridge pose. Don't let your clothing choke you. So in supported bridge pose, if you would like to, you can reach for the yoga strap that we were using a couple days ago. Yesterday we also used, I think. So the strap will be shoulder width apart. That means that this teeny loop I have is too small. You make the loop shoulder width if you're using it. Bring it underneath your hips past the block and place your wrists in there. And then let's enthuse the shoulders and the arms. You're going to press the shoulders down, raise the chest and heart up. If possible, put your palms face down. Lengthen the tailbone so you're not just exploiting the lower back or the floating ribs. And now see if you can have the same kind of understanding of the inhale, beginning at the pelvic floor and widening up into the heart. You may feel at the top of the inhale that the sternum gets curious about the chin. It moves towards your chin. And because the throat is closed, the chin is not backing away from the sternum. It gladly receives the interest of the sternum towards the chin. Notice if the exhale might have a quality of hollowing at that place in the deep lower abdomen, where I said before, oh, your lap belt would be there if you were in the car or on the airplane. Make the shoulders strong one more time. And do one more breath cycle, please. During the exhale, the sternum won't shrink away from the chin. You can keep the heart raised up. So the exhale is really concentrated in the lower abdomen, mid-belly, and even parts of the upper belly. But you don't have to push the sternum down away from the chin to exhale. And release the clasp of your hands inside the yoga strap. Raise your hips up. Put the block aside. And come down to rest a moment and see if you could sense, just like sound is held in silence, you're being held in a larger ocean of grace. And then please roll to your side and find your way to table pose. I would like you to have 2 blocks at the ready for your table pose. Okay, and we're going to be doing a little work where I'll suggest during the process that the shin that's on the floor is very light, like you could slide it if you were on a hardwood floor. Most of us are probably on sticky mats, so sliding on a sticky mat is hard. So come over to your table pose. Place your hands. Let's point them straight forward on the blocks. So your thumbs can go to the inside edge of the block. Index fingers can point forward. The other 3 fingers can wrap around the block. And here in table pose, take the left toes and step back to plank. Now, as you strengthen the left leg, momentarily come into a kind of cat pose spine. Look back towards your left foot. And then lift the base of your skull, broaden the upper back between the shoulder blades, and gaze down towards your thumbs. And then begin to slide the right knee forward and back. That means you're just lightening the right shin on your yoga mat. Again, you can't really slide it unless you're on a hardwood floor and you're wearing fuzzy pajamas, but you can have a sense of the movement and the stabilization required of the rest of the body for the movement. Let's do it one more time, slide forward. And for those of you who can, you can raise the right knee up towards your right elbow. And then place it back down in table pose. And touch the left knee down. So ideally you weren't like wobbling left to right and your butt wasn't going up to move your shin. You're moving it from intrinsic muscles in the low belly, not from compensatory muscles in your back. Okay, right toes under. Press back through the right heel and then slide the left leg so it's very light. As little resistance as possible, but don't clench the hip flexors to slide your left knee front and back. And for anybody who would like, you can raise your left knee up to your left elbow. And then place it back in table pose. Place both shins in table pose and come back to Virasana. You can put the blocks nearby. I hope that was like a tiny bit heating, but also enjoyable. Notice what's happening now after just like one activity that brings a little bit of cohesiveness into your system. Now we'll take the second action. These are just little core activities that I want to slip into yoga class because I'm doing my own training and because I want to help you. So in this case, you're going to have both hands on the blocks at the pointing the finger straight ahead position, but one hand is going to leave the block in a moment. So let's take the left toes, step them back to plank pose. Now make a commitment that you're going to keep your hips level. The hips will not be dropping left or right, nor do they have to go side to side. Lower the right arm so it dangles and there's a space that you could probably swing it in. But to keep your right arm relaxed and the torso level as it was, you have to use these cross abdominal muscles. So press firmly down through your left arm and your right thigh. And then raise your right arm forward. Inhale. Exhale, right arm to the side. Inhale, twist to your right without dropping your left hip. Exhale to center, the right arm can dangle. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale to the side, keep the left arm steady, right hip steady. Inhale, twist to your right. You're not going that far because I'm asking you not to drop the left hip. And exhale to center. We have to be satisfied, inhale forward, satisfied with the strength, not the distance that we're traveling. Exhale, right arm to the side. And inhale, twist right. And exhale, place your right hand down. So Bhima was considered the strongest of the 5 warrior brothers, the largest and the strongest. We'll talk more about that as this class, the immersion, goes forward. Step the right foot back. Make the right arm strong, left leg strong, and the left arm can dangle like the elephant's trunk. Keep the left outer hip stable so you're not going to sashay your hips left to right. Inhale forward. Exhale to the side. Inhale, twist left. Exhale, return down. Make it like a little dance. Inhale forward. Exhale side. Notice the muscles from your right arm to your left hip across the abdomen. Inhale, twist to your left without dropping your right hip. Exhale, lower. Do it one more time. Breathe in, reach forward. Breathe out, reach to the side. Inhale, left. And exhale to center. Place your left hand and come back to Vajrasana. And notice again what happens when you have a kind of wrapping or cohesion action in the body. Now what happens for your breath or your mind? And then with your yoga strap, please rise up to standing. And when you come up to stand, I will change the angle of the camera. When you come up to stand, I'd like you to have your yoga strap, and I'd like that to have that same loop in it so it's shoulder width apart. Okay, let me stand back a little ways. I'll change the angle of the camera once more. So let's take the strap around your wrists. Yep, like that. And you're going to place it there so that when you've got the strap, your palms face each other, right? Roll the shoulders back, lift up through the chest and the heart. We did this yesterday, so I'd like you to keep the tailbone really grounded. And you're not really pushing the hips forward, so your back bend is more about going up and back, not about the hips going forward so that you go up and back. Right, squeeze the shoulders back, raise the heart up. You can also look up. And then as you next inhale, keep the arms and shoulders back. Bring your head to level. Again, the tailbone and the hips haven't swung forward. Rotate your upper chest to your right. and center, and then upper chest to your left, and center, and then release the strap, let it come down, and notice that the arms have a little warmth running down them. And then please prepare for your Surya Namaskar. So I won't be joining you for the sun salutation, it's still beyond what I can and want to do, but I will have my own sort of practice and you'll have yours. So step to the front of your yoga mat, where you consider that to be, and join your palms together in Anjali Mudra. We'll begin together, even though we'll have our unique practices, right? So with the Ujjayi, sweep the hands down, palms wide, and rise up. And then exhale forward into your practice for Surya Namaskar. Yeah. In the process of moving with your breath, try to listen again for the inhale, that little pause at the top, the exhale, the quiet pause at the bottom. And if it's the case that sound is held in silence and you are held by a larger grace, your practice doesn't need to feel like overexerted. It can be strong, but it can also be grace-filled. So listen for that inside of your practice right now. And we'll practice Surya Namaskar for several minutes, and I know each of you does have your own experience of the practice. If your body isn't really sure what next yoga pose to do, I find that going to downward dog is always good for inspiration. It takes you inward. It can quiet the mind. You may feel something from your body in the form of guidance. However you're practicing your Surya Namaskar, whatever that looks like, let it be thoughtful, kind, loving. It need not look like anybody else's practice. It doesn't even have to look the same left to right when you do it. You can think of this time as where you're moving the energies of the body in a relationship with those energies. Based on the daily activities that you have, what your body may need from one day to the next might be related to those activities. And that's a good way to sense how actions have outcomes. The way that you are in your body on one day has an echo on the next day. Notice how you're maintaining your relationship to the breath through your practice. And I'd like us to do the Surya Namaskar, or the practice that you're doing right now, for about 4 minutes more. So that your practice it's one of moving energy, but being with that, you're not trying to overpower. Being able to listen inside to the guidance that comes from your body. That is one of the ways we become less sort of top down in our yoga practice and more from the inner upwards. The information is coming from within your body. We'll do the practice that each of us is uniquely doing just for about 2 more minutes, please. No sense of rushing yourself. About 1 more minute in your personal practice, what you're leading for yourself. And you can find your way from wherever you have been. Come into your version of mountain pose. Bring your attention down to the pelvic floor again. The first chakra, the power emotion there is vulnerability. And in our sort of dominant culture world, we're not supposed to be vulnerable. We're supposed to have it together. But there is an intrinsic vulnerability to recognize that we are so infinitesimal, we are so tiny in such a massive mystery and intelligence. So sound is held in silence, and our tiny journeys on this life and the fleeting nature of our life is held in grace. And what happens in your mountain pose? Okay, now please come down to sitting with 2 blocks and 1 cat. Okay, I'm going to try to go between you and the microphone, okay? So come down to sit in Dandasana. Place your blocks to the sides of your hips like this, and just check that you can push down and you can go up like that. And the blocks are comfortable where they are. I'd like you to bend the elbows. I'll turn a little, because he's left, I can turn a little bit sideways. I didn't want to mow him over. Okay, so what you have here, when the blocks are a little bit behind you, you can push down, you can go up. But you also know that you can bend the elbows, squeeze the shoulders back, raise your chest and heart up. So this is the first part, actually, of learning some of the shoulder actions in Cobra Pose and Chaturanga. If you notice that the shoulders go up and then they go back towards the elbows, lift up through your heart, you really can't compromise very much on the lower back since we're sitting in flexion. So raise the heart up, squeeze the elbows straight back. You can lift your gaze slightly. Not all blocks are created the same, and so not all blocks are as stable as other blocks. So please check the stability of your blocks as you push down to go up. It's called reverse table pose. You can lay the head back. And then you look forward, shoulders stay back, and roll your hips back down, the elbows bend, and the shoulders have not slouched forward in the process. Let's try it again. Inhale, raise the heart up, squeeze the shoulders back towards your elbows, and then press down so that the shoulders go back, the hips come up. You may take your head back. And then you lower your hips down. The shoulders slide back towards the elbows. You can bend the elbows to come down. Okay, and then release. Okay, so that's a little bit of like, how do the shoulders work here? Now we're going to come over onto the abdomen. Let me spin myself around. Come onto your abdomen. So in a discussion of Cobra Pose, let's put one block between the feet so you can squeeze that. And let's see, when I lie down, I hope you'll be able to see me. I know I'm not in my regular yoga room, and there's reasons for that related to my recovery. Yeah, okay, there you go. You can still see. Okay, so we're going to place the hands alongside the shoulders. And when you place the hands, let's put the heel of the hand kind of in line with the base of the sternum. Give a little squeeze of your ankles in against the block. If the block feels like it makes the legs too close, you can put it on the flat setting like I just did. It's a little bit wider that way. And as you press in, I want you to feel the inner thighs, and then take the tailbone down towards the floor. Now let's slide the shoulders towards the ears, up towards the ceiling, and then move the back of your shoulders and the base of your skull to rise up to Cobra Pose. So we keep the lower body strong, and we really raised Cobra Pose more from the back of the shoulders and the base of the skull. The heart is coming forward. It's not actually that we're pushing the floor down. It's more like you're pulling the yoga mat towards your hips. And as you exhale, lay down one vertebrae at a time. So the sternum will come back to the floor. Go ahead and bow your head to the floor. But let's keep the shoulders up. Sometimes I call this Grasshopper Pose. Bringing the breath down into the lower belly and the pelvis. We'll do it once again. Squeeze the block with your ankles. Tone the inner thighs. Root your tailbone towards your heel. So the lumbar spine should feel like it just got a little bit lengthened. Now shoulders towards the ears. Shoulders up towards the ceiling. And then inhale, lift from the base of your skull and the back of your shoulders while pulling your hands towards your feet. So it feels like you're going to sneak the yoga mat under your pelvis. Just like you're sliding the mat, the sticky mat won't go anywhere, but as if you could pull it under your hips. And it should be breathable, comfortable, and smooth. It should not feel like there's one part of the spine that's making more of the back bend, like a little kink in a necklace. but rather that the heart is the most expressive part of the back bend and every other part is supporting that. And then exhale and roll down vertebrae by vertebrae. Again, bow your head, but keep the shoulders up. Then take your arms back and turn your head to one side. Let the legs relax. You can give the body a little shake if you want to, a little roll side to side. We're going to add a little twist into that Cobra Pose, so we can call it Parvita Bhujangasana. So bring your hands back in line with the base of the sternum, heels of the hands at the base of the sternum. Center your forehead, squeeze the block with your ankles. As you tone the inner thighs, and tone the outer hips and the back of the pelvis so the tailbone goes down. It's not that you're squeezing the butt in against the sacrum. We used to call that egg beater butt because of the old-fashioned egg beaters. We're not using that method. So lengthen the tailbone down towards the pubic bone. Shoulders go towards the ears, up towards the ceiling, and then inhale, raise from the back of your shoulders and the base of your skull. And as you exhale, rotate your right shoulder back and gaze over your right shoulder. The twist is in the upper thoracic spine, not in the hips. And exhale to center. Keep the right shoulder back, but take the left shoulder back. Look over your left shoulder. Keep the structure of the pose really intelligent. And as you exhale to come back to your cobra, here you are in Cobra Pose, let's try to sense how far down can you come, and then raise your arms straight back, Salambasana. Squeeze the block with your ankles. Keep the tailbone lengthened towards the pubic bone. And then exhale, come down, turn your head to the other side from last time. Remind yourself that you are in training, like these warrior brothers in the Bhagavad Gita, each of them representing one of the 5 chakras. You are in training. And they had to go to the forest to do their training for 12 years. You were just here for 75 minutes. Then you go back into what's called the marketplace of your life, but you're in training right now. Okay, so please come onto your back with a block nearby for supported bridge pose. The journey of the Brahma Viharas is really pertinent to what's happening in the Bhagavad Gita, but the Yoga Sutras and the Gita are 2 different texts. I'm just talking about them together. So please lie on your back with your knees bent. And then raise your hips up, put one block under, reach for your yoga strap with the loop in it. It should feel easier than when you were doing it before because you're a little bit more warmed up, a little bit more informed, and a little more awake. So put your wrists in there, squeeze the shoulders down. Now, for some of you, it's appropriate to put 2 blocks under the back of the pelvis on the flat setting. It's not yet appropriate for me, but it might be for some of you. So your bridge pose could be higher for the hips. Okay. Snuggle the shoulders firmly down against the floor. Raise your heart up. You might notice that the sternum again has a kind of flirtation with the chin. And take the right leg straight up. It's called supported Ekapada, Setubandhasana. If you would like, you can take both legs straight up, and then that's called Candlestick Pose. I don't have the strength to hold my left leg up yet, but you might. What's happening when we raise the legs up is a little change of circulation in the body, so it's acting like an inversion. So those of you who have both legs up, or anybody who's watching the class and trying to figure it out, yes, I just picked up my left foot with my right foot, so I get to have the benefit of the inversion, but not with a big effort from my left leg. Just keep the shoulders strong and the heart open. You essentially have your Jalandhara Bandha here. That is the heart and throat position. And then as you exhale, I'd like you to just slowly lower the legs if you had lifted them. And let's put the strap aside. Lift your hips. Put the block aside, but don't lower down just yet. Now press your palms firmly down and come into an active form of bridge pose. And then raise your arms overhead, hook the thumbs, make the arms long, and begin to roll the spine down, one vertebrae at a time. And in that rolling down process, be extra thoughtful from lumbar 1, lumbar 2, 3, and so on, down to the top of the sacrum. And then let the arms relax, legs relax. Choose your favorite house pet for Shavasana. You also could choose to cover up with a blanket if you would like to. It is a sort of chilly time of year relative to the summer, and it's not helpful if your body gets cold during Shavasana. If you take the arms out a short distance from the body and turn your palms face up, it is a gesture of surrender. And you can consider again just the nature of the healthy vulnerability when we recognize our actual size in the universe. And also we recognize that we're actually finite. We just have these precious and temporary lives. So may we rest in Shavasana in a kind of grace and gratitude. Continue welcoming your mind and your body to be deeply at rest. If any thoughts come and threaten to interrupt you, think of them more like a sound. It can rise and it can dissolve. the sound of a bird, the sound of a car door. But your Shavasana continues. Allow your mind and your body to deeply rest, to welcome the stillness that comes from Shavasana. Now allow your inner attitude to remain really restful. And just connect to your relationship at this moment, your relationship to vulnerability, a healthy kind of vulnerability, the kind that lets you be a part of life, You don't already know everything. You're not afraid of the unknown quite so much. You're willing to feel life coming towards you and moving through you. We kind of admit to our puniness, our size here in the universe. We see that, relatively speaking, it's very temporary, very finite. And yet, the grace that is holding us, that is infusing us, is ongoing, abiding, enormous, immense. Please make your own transition from Shavasana up to sitting for meditation. You may sit quietly. Let your attention come down into the base. You may listen for the sound silently within you. You may choose to join me. Lam, 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 lam. Lam, 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 lam. Lam, 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 lam. Om Hari Om. Wam, 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 wam. Wam, 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 wam. Wam, 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 wam. Om Hari Om. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. Om Hari Om. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Om Hari Om. Please raise your hands to your heart. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. You're coming back. Hello. Oh, hi, Mama Kitty. Come here. Hi, how are you? Yeah? How are the littles? Yeah? Really? Hi. Yeah. How's the morning? I will come up to see you guys. It'll just take me a moment to get there. Nice to see you, Mama Kitty. Okay. Yes, you're talking? What is it? The people are there. You can't see them though because you don't know how to look at the computer. So this is playtime for her and her brother because they're actually still kittens. He's behind the chair. They're just a year and a month old. So still playing. Yeah. And how are you guys doing? How are you?